Welcome to another episode of HardTarget Range. Let's go shooting. We'll have to go back, get more ammo. I'm going to use up a lot of time here in the shop today talking about stuff, and I'm going to start off with my one and only grapefruit for the day and enjoy myself to the sunny slopes of long ago. That doesn't heat you up and cool you down all at the same time. This is what we were shooting there, is this Glock 19. And it's a Gen 3. I'm going to run through all the options that are on this thing real quick like. First off, it has a PMag magwell. It has a Glock extended magazine release, which I was hesitant to put this on because I was afraid I might have accidental droppings of that mag by hitting it when it's in the holster, and I've had zero issues with it. It's very positive. It's worked out incredibly well, and it allows me to dump that mag without changing my hand position. You want to have, when you draw the gun, you want to have your hand on the gun as it's going to be when you shoot from the get-go, and you want it to stay there. And having that magazine release extended like that allows me to drop the mag without changing that position. That's why I've taken that risk, but it hasn't been a risk after all because I have had no accidental releases of that magazine. I just want to make that clear. Been very happy with it, but that depends on the person, your body build, and how you wear, where you wear it on your body, the holster you use. And I tend to not have problems because I use a vertical drop at 3 o'clock. Because that's what back in the day they wanted you to have when you went to training, and I early on decided if I'm going to train with a holster sitting, the gun sitting at a certain position in a certain type of holster, it's absolutely stupid to be wearing something different every day. Because you should do what you train, right? Or you should train to do what you're going to do. And instead of trying to force people to allow me to do something that they don't want to allow me to do, you know, I'm pretty flexible, so I just went with it. And it has worked out incredibly well. Although there are people out there that think you have to have appendix carry buried underneath your pants, everything in the universe so nobody sees it, here's a guy that went through his entire life carrying at 3 o'clock and a backup cross draw that's going to be more like 11, somewhere between 10, maybe 10, about in there, and never had an issue. You know, a lot of it is up here, and a lot of it is I came from a generation where you didn't go out in public wearing shorts that were formerly owned by Beaver Cleaver and some sort of t-shirt with advertising on it. You see? You go around dressed with a suit, it's pretty easy. Yeah. And I also found if you go around dressed with a suit or a sport coat, it opens a lot of doors. Nowadays, I don't know, since I'm not working anymore, I don't have the slightest idea what's going on, but back to what I was talking about, if I can figure that out. The other options on this are I've got a set of Ken Hackathorn sights. You know who he is, the renowned trainer. And what these sights offer that are a little different, you have a tritium night sight on the front and basically just a target style sight on the rear, which I really have become quite positive about. I was leery about it to start with, but yeah, I really like it. And of course, if you've gone through enough training, you'll understand what I'm saying here, but it's all about the front sight. If you keep your eyes on the front sight, you're going to get your shot. And yeah, you'd like to line it up and everything, but push comes to shove and you're moving fast. If you don't lose the front sight, you're going to get your shot. So the theory of these, of putting the target sights on the rear instead of having, say, a double dot tritium on the rear, is you don't have the awful mistake of you got the 2 dots and this one gets put over here, your sight is off and you think you're on sight because you got 3 dots lined up. And you know, I understand what they're saying, and in the heat of excitement of it all, I understand that, but yeah, I really do believe that the chances of that happening are, yeah, I don't think it's ever going to happen to me. And I've done a lot of training where I've gone through houses in the dark as part of the qualification, and I never had that issue, and I always had the 3-dot system. I've never taken, in the day, I never took a course without the 3-dot system. Some of them only had the aluminous paint on the sights. Other ones, the night sights at the end there, where the night sights came in, had the night sights and never had that issue. So I was leery of really being too concerned. I wasn't too concerned about that, and I was leery on this concept, but I really do like these sights for daytime. For daytime, these sights are just fantastic compared to the 3-dot system. At least for me, it just worked so much better. So since it's all about the front sight, I think, yeah, this probably works really well for both, kind of a balance between both. And I've liked these sights particularly because they're taller. If you notice, they're a lot taller than the regular Glock sight. And along with that, you can see the front sight and the rear sight. The rear sight's a little wider than it needs to be. The front sight a little narrower. And you get that little space in between when you're looking at it. It works a lot faster when you have them set up that way. And all I have to do is look at competitions, and yeah, that's what they do with the competition sites, so you get what I'm saying. Okay, so I really enjoy those sights a great deal. Of course, the other ones I have, the other 19s, have the battle hook sight on the rear, and there's a purpose for that. This one kind of has a ledge here, but not really. And it is a little taller so for concealed carry, and you can see the wear on the edge of the sights. Yeah, that kind of is wrecking my clothing. And if you're an old guy like me, you've probably taken your suits to a tailor to have them put patches in where your gun wears a hole through your lining. Yeah, it got to the point where I just, when I went in and got a suit, I'd wear my guns and have the guy tailor it to the suit, and I'd also have them put in patches on the suit. Yeah. And that saves all that, and because when you spend that much on a suit, you know, you might as well do it up front. Like everything else, you might as well spend the money up front, cry once, and then it's done, whatever that saying is. So the last thing on here, I think I covered everything. The last thing on here is the trigger. Glock has several options in triggers. A lot of people don't know this. There's the New York 1 and the New York 2 trigger. This one happens to be a New York 2. I took New York 1. I had New York 2 triggers in all my Glocks, and I took them off, put the New York 1 in, because I bought one to try it, and you know what? It does what I require. I want a harder, longer trigger pull. I want it to be more like a revolver double action type trigger pull, and yet this one is light enough that my accuracy has really improved with it. It comes in at about 8.5 pounds on my guns, and it gives me that longer trigger pull I want that allows me to back off the trigger. That's why I like that feel of a double action revolver, double action only revolver, because I can back off on it. It's nice to have a super crisp light trigger pull when you're going out and shooting and you want to impress people. But let me tell you, in the real world, not a good idea. So I think I've covered everything on this gun, and yeah, we're into this for a lot of time. This is going to be a long one, but that's the way it is. Fantastic gun, Glock 19 Gen 3, set up the way I like it. I shoot it well. It's an inexpensive firearm. It has inexpensive magazines in my case because I'm buying these PMag magazines that I like better than the Glock magazines because, quite frankly, Glock, you could change your floor plate. It's a pain in the butt to take off. These, you can see that how easy they are. Just hit that little thing, you slide it off like a normal magazine. And I really love this where I can number my mags, because you should have as many mags as you can afford, because you got to drop them on the ground when you train and they get wrecked. This right here allows me to number them, so if I have a problem, you know, it's not, oh, there's something wrong with my gun. No, because every time you put magazine number 11 in there is when it's not working. It's the magazine. Throw it away. It costs $10. Get a new one. And they do cost $10. You just got to watch for the sales. They're on sale for $10 all the time. Sometimes you have to buy a dozen magazines to get them for $10. Sometimes they actually offer them for $10. Midway USA had them on sale for $10 for like 2 months after Christmas. So they are out there. You just got to watch for them. There, I think I've covered that gun. I'm not going back outside. It's too cold. I'm going to have a little more grapefruit juice here. I've got 2 more things to cover. So if you want to nip out and get something to drink, I'll let you. There's your opportunity. Well, you just got to pause it and go. I don't have to leave you space, you know. I want to talk about what's going on with me and what I'm going to do real briefly. And what I'm going to do is I'm kind of changing things because a lot of things have to go in order to keep up with the system. And the system here is medical insurance. But that's all right. And I had to make some decisions because my system, I decided to change a few things only because life is short. And you really realize that when you get in a position where you don't know how long you're going to live. Yeah. So this is what I've decided, and I'm going to tell you one thing real short and quick, hopefully. About 6 months ago, I had somebody who left a comment. I love these people that leave comments that they have 0 subscribers, and they've got some, I could call an avatar that's a clown or some sort of Japanese Oriental caricature. And by caricature, I don't mean the writing kind, I mean a cartoon character. At any rate, the gentleman left a comment. I needed to go get some training. I didn't know what I was talking about. I needed to go get some training. And as a result, of course, I got a little annoyed. You don't really know MrHolster because I seem like a nice guy. I try to be funny and amusing, but inside me, there's this kind of pent-up, controlled rage where if I need it, yeah. At any rate, I decided just for yucks, I was going to, over my lifetime, I've had to do a lot of training. Most of it is just the stuff you have to do. Your continuing qualifications and your training there, and at some point I decided, you know, this is like high school. I want to be something better here because I really like to be able to do well with a firearm, and I decided to go beyond that training and seek sources outside of the system that I was in. And as a result, I took a lot of courses at places from really what are considered to be some of the top trainers. And I decided that after that gentleman said that, because I was kind of irate that night, and I'd had a rye or two, I decided I was going to take all the courses I took and look them up and see what they cost nowadays. And my total sum was in excess of $250,000 is what it would cost. And you're thinking, I'd want my money back. Well, it wasn't my money that got spent, but yeah, I wouldn't mind having that money back, but it wasn't mine to start with. So that was the deal. I was able to do that. So that being said, I've lost my train of thought. Now I got one more thing to talk about after this, but that's why I've decided to switch things up a little, and I can do that because of past training and things I've done. I am not one, even with the training I've had, which has been on numerous different firearms. Even with the training I've had, I'm not one of these guys who likes to switch around. I like to become one with the gun that I'm using and carry it. And this has been a primary firearm for a lot of years here, mostly because I wanted something that was clean, simple, inexpensive to practice with, and you could have barbed wire run across the top of it and it wouldn't make a darn bit of difference to its value or its ability to perform. Yeah, so what would you pick? Well, you'd pick a Glock 19. Full-size gun, and yet easy to conceal. And I say a full-size gun because I can get my whole grip. See, I can grip this entirely. I'm not doing one of these two-fingered and the pinky off to the side dainty things. You see? To me, this is a full-size service weapon, and yet small enough that it's easy to conceal. So to me, that was the solution to my problem. Inexpensive ammo, because you can't get any cheaper than 9mm. You go to something else, anything else, even down to 380, and it's like sticker shock to go there. That's what makes the 9mm, in my book, the best choice for a concealed carry right now. There's no question, hands down, and the improvements they made in bullets, they expand better than they did. That being said, I've heard a lot of people say, well, 9mm thing to have, it's the best thing out there because it performs as well as anything else. Well, you know, to you I say, bullshit. Yeah, it doesn't. You can take your 9mm, I don't care if it's a 115 grain, 119 grain, 124, they're making them in all sorts of sizes now. 147 grain, of course, then you lose the power, the push on it, because the powder goes down. And shoot it at a steel target, and it doesn't knock it down, one of the poppers. And then you can take a 45 ACP and do it, and it knocks it down. So you can't tell me the 9mm is comparable to the 45 ACP. You still have that momentum from the weight of the bullet hitting whatever the target. So that being said, and being an old guy and liking old stuff, yeah. This is what you're going to see a lot of the 1911, this and the other one I have on the range this summer, because yeah, I'm planning on carrying this till the day I die. Yeah, the 1911 of 45 ACP, because life's too short not to demean this firearm, which is a fantastic firearm and one I've championed because it works. And it works, and it works. It's trouble-free, it works. It takes a beating. It's inexpensive. You can get parts anywhere. Nobody could argue to me that this is not a good choice for anybody out there. The only thing that would make this a bad choice for somebody is their hand doesn't fit the gun and they can't shoot it well. Because that's number one, you got to be able to shoot it well. So that being said, since we're all on limited time here, and I've just decided that there's some things in life that you do that you want to have a little pizzazz, and here's my pizzazz in 1911, a lot like my Gary Reeder Vaqueros that I'm going to be using. You'll see a lot of those too. Yeah. Those are the things I'm going to hang on to till I'm gone. And thought I'd talk about that briefly, which now we're into this for 24 minutes already, so it's not so brief. One more thing I want to talk about, and that is I noticed that a gentleman I watch all the time on here, and I'm not too sure how many subs he had, around 60, 70,000 subs, but he's an industry insider. He's not, me, I'm an industry outsider, but yet I spent my life working with guns. This gentleman spent his life working with guns also, but he was an industry insider. He spent his life inside the industry working with guns, and I saw that YouTube has deleted his channel this morning. And I really think with everything that's going on politically and in Syria, I think you're going to see it gets worse before it gets better, much worse. So, that being said, this week, once I get back from my little trip to the hospital, because you can't get enough of those. Well, you come back lighter, though. I'm losing weight. I've talked about this for the last year and a half. I want to lose weight, so we're getting there. You got to look at the upside to everything. The point being is I'm really gonna work this week since the best I'll be able to do probably is sit in a chair. I'm really gonna work this week on getting my Patreon page. I'm gonna call it a Patreon page from now on. I don't like the word Patreon account or the phrase Patreon account. Patreon page set up with my own server holding my information and not YouTube. I'm going to try and work on that because I envision my Patreon page being like this is, where you can go and watch my sock show if I want to put one on, my Coffee in the Tack Room, and this show, along with a pre-Hard Target show. Those 4 shows like I do every week. But the extra stuff I do that I used to do and stuff, I'm going to hold that back for the Patreons and put it there. I think that's fair, and I think it's a nice mix, and it still allows people, because nobody knows better than MrHolster, that, yeah, you don't always have the money to help everybody. Lots of times you can't help yourself. So, there you go. I'm sorry this one was so long. I hope you made it to this part. But look at the bright side. I'm not going back outside, so there's no more shooting at the end. But I'll put a little clip of me there attempting to hit those targets and put our tag at the end. And check out Gil's targets. He's got a special going on, and he's nice enough to take part of the portion of that special and send it to me, which I did not ask for. I want to make clear, but, it doesn't matter when you got a friend like Gil. Till next time, and you want to tune in next time, because next time we're going to be shooting Jack's Vepper. Yeah, I've decided why not. Jack's gone on a little walkabout, and I decided why he's gone. I'm going to start playing with that and getting some footage. So, tune in next week to the HardTarget Range. I'll leave you with that footage. Well, there you go, guys. There's another episode of HardTarget Range. Before I leave you, let's all give a little prayer that Jack is lucky at the craps tables, because that's where he is right now. Till next time, for MrHolster and Jack, go out and stay safe.